Okay, here we go. Okay, hello everybody. It's Monday night, and here we are to support our Hashtag Creatives podcast episode. Tonight, our guest is Shakesha Williams, filmmaker and CEO at Harlem Fusion Studios. But I'm going to introduce myself first, and then we're going to have some great conversation with Shakesha. So, my name is Alan Greenstein. I'm the founder and producer of the organization called Support Our Hashtag Creatives. The goal of this organization is to level the playing field for underrepresented creators and artists so that they have as much chance as everybody else to get their projects made and seen and distributed. I'm also on the board of directors of the Bella Levy Foundation. The goal of the Bella Levy Foundation is to fight human trafficking and provide a safe haven for its warriors. So once again, as I said, so happy to have Shakesha Williams as our guest tonight. She's been on our podcast before, but I figure it's about time we have her back so we get to update all the great things that she's doing. So Shakesha, just why don't you briefly introduce yourself and then we'll be on our way.
Hi, my name is Shakesha Williams. Thank you for having me, Alan. I am the founder of Harlem Fusion Studios, and I'm also a filmmaker, writer, producer, director. Two of my projects, My Story is an award winner for Best Screenplay, and Curvy Girls Rock is my digital series now streaming on YouTube. And I am also an AI creative and filmmaker, and finding myself speaking about my time in the space. And my goal is to make AI on the creative side representative as much as I can, and to make creative things and to hopefully get creatives on the side of getting away from the fear of AI. So that's who I am.
Yeah, and the AI thing, that's every week time you turn around, you talk about artificial intelligence, but we're talking more about that later. So once again, it's so great to have you here. And
Thank you.
why don't you tell us how you got your start in entertainment?
Oh, okay. So I went to film school. I'm a late bloomer, and I was in my late 30s when I started film school. And then after film school, I worked on a ton of projects producing. I've been a writer for my entire life, and I think I have the grand fortune of knowing what I wanted to do very early on. Like, there wasn't a doubt in my mind that I knew I wanted to be creative. I think more now I understand what that was. It was basically an inkling that the magic that is seen in the movies, like my grandmother would watch those old Hollywood musicals with Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers. And I wanted to make that kind of magic, something that allows people to learn, make them feel. I think that's a magical, and that's a weight that I was ready to carry. I knew early on. So after that, I went ahead and I did My Story with an amazing director, Lynette. And Lynette was just this awesome, amazing person. And I produced, but I also wrote My Story. And then we come up to Curvy Girls Rock, where I met you, Alan. And Curvy Girls Rock was about plus size women. My goal is always to tell stories of people whose stories aren't being told. If I feel there's a space that needs to be filled, that's my job as a creative, to fill it. Not just, cry about the lack of representation, but make representation possible for actors as well as women, as well as, behind the camera too. So yeah, that's how I got my start. I know that was a long-winded answer, but yes.
Well, that's great. I mean, and the fact that you knew what you wanted to do so early, it's kind of yeah. And you call yourself a late bloomer, but I don't know. Well, never too late, right?
Never
Get
too late.
started. Never
Never
too
too late. Right.
late.
Exactly.
Same thing goes for me, right? Yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah. 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 Okay. So tell us about what my story is about. Whose story is it?
Yes. So my story is about an elderly white gentleman who calls a black journalist to tell his story about something that he did in the 60s. And I don't want to give it away. I want people to watch. You can find it on Tubi. You can find it on Amazon Prime. And I think it is on YouTube as well. But the goal for that project was, for me, I always thought about what forgiveness meant. Is forgiveness for the person who's forgiving? Is it for the mass public to now get on our side? And thinking of a person who in the 60s who hurt a black person, who hurt someone who is just trying to gain freedom. If you change, will you be rewarded? Will people note your change? Will people forgive you for your past? And that's what my story is really about. And it was from an exercise, actually. The exercise, it was a class project, and the exercise
Mm,
was, as writers, sometimes when you get into a place where you can't come up with any ideas, looking at papers, taking a walk, going to a cafe. And I found this article about a ex Ku Klux Klan member who now was going to black colleges and talking to people about his time in the Klan, um, and knowing what that might have been like for him. Like, he may have made the redemption, but are the people in the audience really forgiving of that, or are they calling
mm,
bullshit?
yeah.
So that for me was something that I really wanted to explore with my story.
Okay. So tell me about the process for getting it made. Did you, or where was it? Where was it actually filmed?
It was filmed in Brooklyn. And little side note, while I was making my story, I was homeless at the time. Um, Taking my money, putting some aside to get my family out of the situation that we were in, and the other part of my money I was putting into this project. Um, and I think this is for anyone who is struggling to fit in their dream, their purpose, their vision. Sometimes life, as the kids like to say, the life be lifing.
Mm,
um and to be honest with you, I don't know if there are times of peace, there are times of joy, but there are also times of challenges, whether it's your people have death in their family, people have sickness, people have financial woes. How do you surpass yourself and the mountain that stands in front of you in a time when you really should just lay down and cry in a ball? But I think for me, in that particular instance, I was basically like, forgive my French, but balls to the wall. Like, I've already got my back up against the wall. All I can do now is come out the gate swinging. And that's what my story really was like, making it at that time.
okay. How
Did
did
you
you?
expect that answer, Alan?
Well,
You know the story, so you probably did.
yeah. No, but I forgot part of it though. But I'm
Yeah,
glad
yeah,
that. But now I'm glad that our audience is learning, more about you just by hearing that story.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and um, what about how did you decide to distribute the film?
So for me, like, I think the idea for all new filmmakers is that it's gonna be seen at Sundance, and we're gonna take it to ABFF our first time out of the gate. So we were very ambitious. We were applying to all of the largest film festivals, and that's what our goal was at the time. But another filmmaker that I know, his name is Sean Mathis,
Hmm.
had a project, and he was using it's still around, it's called Film Hub. And he kind of gave me a little backstory, and I was like, well, shoot, that's more than enough information for me. And I began my journey with Film Hub like probably 6 months to a year after I had done my story. We had spent a ton of money. We were in a few film festivals, and we did get accepted for 4 here state in the States and 2 internationally. So that was a big deal for us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it didn't garner what we thought it would garner. And I also, every time I have a platform, I try to encourage people, because sometimes what our vision is that it's going to blow everyone's mind and it's going to be seen everywhere. People are going to call in and asking us when the next project is. And sometimes it's not like that. But to keep pursuing, because your next idea, because this idea can spawn other ideas. Creativity opens up a gate, and the ability to say, okay, well, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but I'm going to keep going. This is what this business is. It's, you have to keep going. You have to keep moving. The only eventuality of you failing, for sure, is if you stop. You know you're going to fail if you don't keep going. So
Yes.
that's what I would tell people. Like, yes, there are distribution channels that are, that won't come easy, but you keep talking about your project and you may distribute it on YouTube or Vimeo or whatever, but don't give up.
Very, very good. That's a very interesting story about distribution is always a challenge.
For sure.
There's this one. I guess every project has a different story about how it gets distributed.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about your company, Harlem Fusion Studios.
Yeah, Harlem Fusion Studios is my first studio company. It's a New York company, and it's all about, like, the reason I called it Harlem Fusion is because there's so many aspects of myself and being a New Yorker, and I'm kind of a hodgepodge of it all. I'm a little bit of everything. And for me, I decided that because Harlem, it means so much to me. And just so people know, I grew up in the Harlem that wasn't cute. Like, my Harlem was harsh. It was harsh, and it was sometimes violent, and it was sometimes desolate, but at the same time there was so much life. That being a New Yorker, you can live in we were living, uptown, but you go downtown or you go to other areas, and it was just all of this hope of what you could possibly be. And that's what New York is. A lot of what the possibilities are, and that's what Harlem Fusion is.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Curvy Girls Rock. As you said earlier, that's how we came together.
Yes.
I assume it's been so many years now. I must have gotten involved in one of your campaigns.
Yes.
And that's how things began from there. So okay, so that's something totally different from my story. So tell us about Curvy Girls Rock.
Yes. So Curvy Girls Rock is a story about 4 plus-size women living in New York City. It's actually 5 plus-size women living in New York City, and their challenges with love, careers, and friendships. And the reason why I made it was there weren't spaces where plus-size women were represented in a way as quote unquote straight size women are. I truly believe that I don't have to, like, I can write a story for any woman and put any size woman in that role, right? But I made Curvy Girls Rock specifically because I wanted these beautiful, amazing actresses to represent real women, so that when people, and it's something to representation and seeing yourself, whether it's, before black dolls were a real thing, there was a big thing about black dolls being representative of young girls. It's a big thing to see for people who are disabled, or differently abled, or however that person sees themselves, being seen on screen. And that's what I wanted with Curvy Girls. I wanted representation. And they were gorgeous, and they looked good, and they were dressed nice, and we had Lane Bryant represent us. We had Fashion Figure represent us. We had a ton of amazing companies. I had a host of producers who were absolutely phenomenal. Shout outs to Tiffany Taylor. Shout outs to Randall Holloway, Susan Moses. Shout outs to all of my ADs, because this was a 2-year venture. Because we would shoot a bit, go on hiatus, shoot a little bit more, go on hiatus, and shoot again. And to all of the actors and actresses and everyone who lent their times and talents to make Curvy Girls Rock happen, because it was definitely a labor of love.
Yeah. So is the reason that you had to, go and start and stop and start again, was that have to do with funding?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I took my twos and fews, as they say, my money. We had run, I think we ran about 3 campaigns for Curvy Girls Rock, 3 crowdfunding campaigns, never really hitting our mark. And I want to thank those who donated. I've thanked you many times, Alan, and you're one of the people who every time there was a campaign, you showed love. People who showed love multiple times because they believed in the project. People who showed love multiple times because they believed in me. People who showed love because their family member was a part of the project, so they wanted to make sure that they supported. All of those reasons was, and the other part was, we lost actors here and there, but for the most part, all of the actors stood so strong and stood in the gap during those gap moments. They didn't waver. We did things to, we had events. We would do filming to do more, whatever we asked of them, they would show up for. And to me, that is where community comes in. So it wasn't all me, but it was a lot of me. So anytime I got a chance to get the bag, I made sure that Curvy Girls happened. But on the times I didn't have the bag, we were still, ringing the bell and making sure that we kept our show on people's lips.
Yeah. So how did you go about getting connecting up with the companies like Lane Bryant? What was your process for doing that?
Man, listen. Well, first of all, for us, we were trying to get clothing for the women. We wanted them to look really great. I would send emails. I would go on LinkedIn and I would find the buyers for Fashion to Figure. We had an inside man, so to speak. Shout outs to Naima Terry, who played Jazzy. She's a model, full-time model, and she'd worked with them and did the introduction. She did the same for us with Daya & Co., which is a plus size company that does the monthly boxes for people shopping. So she had the inside scoop with those 2 companies, and that was kind of an easy introduction. But as far as Lane Bryant, I cold called when I reached out to Mac. I had one of my interns at the time reach out to Mac, and they were down for the project. So we pretty much just scoured the earth. And that was the other thing that I've come to realize. So during the downtime, it could feel like there's times when things are feeling weird, like a little off, like, man, why can't I get the money I need to make the project happen? My belief is I had that downtime because I was able to make those connections during the downtime. I was able to have what I really wanted during the downtime because of the fact that I was able to go to these companies. And that's what we did. When it was quiet, we sent out emails. We funneled emails. We had spreadsheets we created. And I also, during that time, gathered a team. So the downtime worked for us. I don't like when it gets quiet. I get really nervous. But if anything, I was taught as a leader, as a producer, is that use every second that you're working on the project. Some projects go 3 and 4 years. Some projects go 20 years, and a project can happen from conception of the script, right? Because people are looking for distribution. They're looking for money with a production. It's a lot of things that can happen. So I learned that during that process. It would have been sweet to get a cool 100K, make it done and done. But I just very, very, very carefully, I cried, I prayed, I cried and prayed some more. I laughed. I had good talks with my team. And overall, that's what we had to do. Just keep plugging away. Yeah. And if anybody's interested, I'm going to host a class on what I did to make that happen. So please, hit me up.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, as a matter of fact, we'll revisit that later. Make sure people know how to contact you.
Sure.
Yeah. So I posted on the screen. I said, use every second. There's a great nugget from Shakesha. How about that? Even in his downtime, keep if you still have things to do relative to the project.
See, that's it. That's what I wanted to say. That's how I wanted to say it. Yep.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. So how many seasons of Curvy Girls Rock was there?
So there was one season, because by the time we actually aired it in 2020, we were in a pandemic.
Yeah.
So life got gotten away a little bit. And I was working with other, as a producer with a bunch of other folks. I was called to do crowdfunding. I took on clients. I was doing meetings. So life just came into the picture. But I assure you, we are not done with Curvy Girls yet.
Okay. Good to know. Is it currently available to be seen anywhere?
It is on YouTube. Look up Curvy Girls Rock series.
Okay. Very good. So it's good to know that it is on YouTube. People can go and watch it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, now let's talk about podcasts. Yeah, okay. Let's talk about Shakesha and the White Boy.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So tell us about that, your inspiration for making it, and and who is this white boy you're talking about?
Oh, Alan, it should have been you. You should have came aboard on the white boy side too. Shakesha and the White Boy is a podcast with me and my good friend. He's like a brother to me, Ryan Dinger, who is absolutely amazing. He's one of the best podcast producers to ever do it. And we made it a political show because he and I came from such different backgrounds and saw eye to eye on so many things. What I've come to know is that people don't generally step outside of their comfort zone when it comes to what their group looks like. Like they want to be around people who look like them, and that's fine. Like I got most of my good girlfriends are Black, but what I've come to realize is that looking at life through someone else's lens allows you to see something much greater. You're also are going to find your tribe, and what I need people to understand is your tribe is much different than your family or your friends. Your tribe sees something like connected through heart and soul. And I was very, very fortunate to find Ryan. Like, you have a job and sometimes you feel like, oh God, I'm working here and they don't really see me. They're not growing me. They're not giving me what I need. But I'm going to tell you, had it not been for that job, I would have never met Ryan. And this political podcast that we put together, 50 episodes streaming now everywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
And we talk about everything. We talk about Donald Trump. We talk about how Black people views things versus how white people views things. We talked about intergenerational things because Ryan is quite a few years younger than I am. So we also talk about those sorts of things. And what I enjoyed most about making that podcast outside of working with my brother often was the feedback that we got from our listeners, which, by the way, turned out to be 80% white boys. So that was interesting. That was very interesting. And a funny story, true story. My cousin said, so I'm at work and a guy says, hey, you got to listen to this new podcast, Shakesha and the White Boy. Now the Shakesha didn't ring a bell in his ear. Don't know why, but whatever. And he said, let me play something for you. He plays my voice. And immediately my cousin goes, wait a minute. That's my cousin. That's my cousin Shakesha. What are you oh my God. And he told me about that. And I thought that was the funniest story ever. So we had a long reach and we really enjoyed it. But he and I are going to work on. We're working on creating Shakesha and the White Boy Podcast Nation, because we also want to incorporate audio dramas and other things around all the things that we really love as creatives, because he's also a musician and I'm a writer. So we're going to incorporate all the stuff that we love into a brand new podcast.
Oh, so it's going to be more than just a back and forth. There's going to be narratives and stuff like that also?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, looking forward to that.
Me too.
Yeah. No, they see that. Something I did not know, now I do. See that?
Yes.
Yeah.
As an inside scoop, if you will. Inside scoop.
Yep. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So that would how long did that last? Shakesha and the White Boy.
We did it for 2.5 years, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fantastic. As I said, it was a must watch or listen for me. That's for
Please, listen. It's evergreen content. The things that we said back then, we didn't even realize. It feels like we were Nostradamus when you look at what's going on in the world now. But we talk a lot about we run the gamut. So please listen.
Yes, please listen.
Yes.
And as you say, it's on all streaming platforms pretty much.
Absolutely.
So it's easy to search for. So don't
absolutely.
So now easy to find. Okay. Now, before I ask the next question, I'm going to do a bit of a reset and plug myself a little bit. And so I mentioned my organization, Support #Creatives. I indicated at the beginning what its basic mission is. But in addition to that, I also offer different kinds of services in different phases of the life cycle of projects, basically. So please go to my website, supportourcreatives.com, and go to the services tab, and you'll get a pretty good idea as to the kind of things that I do. So I really appreciate that, and you'll be able to contact me right through the website if you want to get in touch with me. Okay, so thank you. Okay, let's talk about crowdfunding and other kinds of consulting that you're also involved with.
Mm-hmm.
So, tell us about the kind of consulting that you do.
Oh, so right now I'm shifting gears just a little bit. In the past, I've consulted with filmmakers, producing, line producing, budgets, breakdowns, and those sorts of things. But I'm switching gears just a little bit to the AI realm and how AI tools are changing things for creatives. I would even dare to say that it's leveling the playing field, which is something that you always talk about, leveling the playing field for those who generally never had those opportunities. I know there was a big deal about this. OpenAI is introducing something called Sora, and Sora is basically a text to video generator, and the test video footage that they've shown so far looks absolutely amazing. There have been some things that people have been leaking from the testers, from the beta testers, like it takes an hour to make a 1 minute footage. But what I will say about that is, if I am now a filmmaker and am storyboarding to allow people to understand what my vision is, or if I didn't have access to large like I don't have the money to go to Ireland, but now I can create the cliffs in Ireland just via a text prompt. I've changed the game for myself if I'm a creative. And I want creatives to get out of the mindset of it being afraid of it, as opposed to embracing what's already happening and finding their way in it. So I'm consulting, speaking engagements, some conferences coming up that I'm speaking at. So that's what I'm doing right now. You'll see on my Instagram, which is, I'll tell you at the end. You'll see a couple of videos that I've already done, and I'll also be creating a podcast interviewing artists and leaders in the space of AI to talk about being creative in the AI space.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have to say artificial intelligence is something I don't understand very well, but apparently, I mean, they're always talking about it all the time.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, so how did you get hooked on this new path of yours?
It wasn't. It's so I can't even tell. I would just say I stumbled on it because I was looking at the images that were coming out, and I was just like, wait a minute, let me learn how to do this. Because for my entire career, if I wanted to make a mood board, or if I wanted to storyboard something or create a pitch deck, I used to have to go to YouTube, get a screenshot from a movie that I like, and then add that to a deck. And I'm like, wait a minute. So now you mean to tell me I can take images, create them, and it's exactly what I want them to be? Let me see what's up with that. I also like the voiceover functions, and I get it because we have seen so much from the powers that be that it could be frightening thinking of who owns what, where, my voice on something, what does that mean? If you take my image, how is that all going to play out? And my general, like, if we want to keep it real, they're already, like, the powers that be, since 2001, the powers that be have already been monitoring absolutely everything you do anyway. I just want y'all to know that. Let's just keep it real. If you wear an Apple Watch, you're wearing AI. If you ask Alexa or Siri anything, you are dealing with AI. So these are just different kinds of AI. There was a gentleman, and he was talking about there's also, spatial intelligence. There's also mathematical intelligence. Like, let's grow in all of these areas so that we are competent and not competing with AI, but we are pouring into ourselves and using AI as a plus to what we're already doing.
Okay, so I mean, we heard during the strikes, SAG and the writers. We heard a lot about artificial intelligence and the fears that that people have that they're going to be made obsolete, or their voices will be used without their consent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you say a few words about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, that's one of the things that has caused the fear. I was on a panel with Okima Timur, and she brought up something that I hadn't been aware of, which is in the SAG-AFTRA agreement, their voice and likeness, they never specified human, and that could be a very tricky bit because there's still a way that if, like, they wanted to manipulate your image and your voice, that's still a possibility and I thought that was weird. But I also come from a mindset that I have been limited in my, mostly not necessarily in like the ability to get crew, but budget wise have been limited in so many ways as an independent. As we talked about Curvy Girls, I expressed to you the ups, the downs, and things that happened during my filming of Curvy Girls Rock, that had I had AI, maybe I would have had a better way or more efficient way to make things happen. I'm actually working on a film now called Card and Queen, and it's a period piece. It's a period film in the 1930s, 20s, and 30s in Harlem. I am now able to take parts of a pitch deck. I have a pitch deck, but now I can take it even further to gain a little bit of traction that I would not have had previously. Funding is no longer an issue for me. Writers have an issue with the AI models being trained on real work, like real scripts and real work. And I get it because a lot of writers, that's their bread and butter. So it's not that I'm not dismissive, or I'm not like going like, that's not real, because it is, because it's absolutely real that, when you hear like Elon Musk, coming after Midjourney because now he wants to get into the space of AI, it's very frightening. He already cut people from Twitter, aka X. I hate calling it X. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Twitter. There was a line in the movie Coming to America with Eddie Murphy, the first one, and they were in a barber shop, and he said his mama called him Clay. I'ma call him Clay. His name is Muhammad Ali. So that's how I feel about Twitter. I'm not calling him X. His mama named him Twitter. I'ma call him Twitter. But that being said, when you hear the tech boys and the studios are so excited about it, I understand the fear, and it's real and it's unfair. And I also believe that learning something new on a train that's already coming at you, learn how to navigate that is super important. It's so important to grow and become when you see the tide changing. I know the lamplighters before electricity, when they heard that the light bulb was coming out, had a fit. I know they did. I'm sure there was a lamplighters union was like, this means the end of all of our jobs. But if you learn the tech, then you become an asset as far as that is concerned. So I look at it in both ways. And I support my brothers and sisters in the WGA. I support my brothers and sisters in SAG. I am also of the mind that I'm excited by this technology. I am feeling very creative with this technology, and I will allow myself to learn and hopefully teach others the same things.
Okay. Before we move on, why don't you let us know your Instagram where people can take a look at some of your AI examples, and I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. So.
Yes, it's my first name Shakesha without an IDW, so it's at Shakesha DW.
Shakesha DW with the at. That's IG. Okay.
Yep.
IG at. And make sure I got this right.
You are an excellent host / admin. Let's go.
Oh, I don't know. It's hard though.
It is.
Yeah. For just so personally, I'm actually doing this all by myself. It actually is better if you have at least one other person with you to do a lot of this stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, but this is something I really like doing, and I'm going to continue to do it, especially since I started with the full video audio treatment at the beginning of this year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so if you see the so it's Shakesha DW, and that's Instagram. Go there, and you'll be able to see examples of some of her artificial intelligence work. And I know we're going to see a lot more from you on this for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned Carter and the Queen. Why don't you go into more details on that current project, right?
Yes. So Carter and the Queen is a film about Eunice Carter and Stephanie St. Clair, aka Madam Queen, two Black women. Eunice was a assistant district attorney in New York City, the very first Black female, and Stephanie St. Clair was a very talented and rich numbers runner, and it's about their battles against the New York Mafia, Dutch Schultz and Lucky Luciano. It's based in the 20s and 30s. These were real women. And I find, again, this is one of those things. I love a good crime drama, The Untouchables, Goodfellas, Casino, Hoodlum. Shout out to Bill Duke. Shout out to Martin Scorsese. I forgot. Oh, my brain is blanking. If anyone knows, please tell me the director of The Untouchables. I should have did like a little Google search. Good Lord, I can't think of his name. But he's also a very famous director. And what was missing were the women, the presence of the women, particularly Hoodlum, because Hoodlum followed Bumpy Johnson, but Bumpy Johnson was a protege, played by Lawrence Fishburne, by the way. But Bumpy Johnson was a protege of Stephanie St. Clair. He learned what he learned from her. So I thought it was very telling that she was kind of set to the side. And not only was she a numbers runner, but she was she was bold and brave and brash. Every Sunday, like in the Amsterdam News, she would take out full page articles talking about the corruption with the police. She unfortunately shot her husband. He didn't die, but she found out he was cheating and she went ham. She went crazy. And and Eunice Carter helped bring down Bumpy Johnson. I mean, not I'm sorry, not Bumpy Johnson. Lucky Luciano. So I believe that their story deserved to be told. Like I said, I love a good mob film, a good crime drama, and that's what we're doing. We're bringing their stories to life.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, as usual, something that most people would not even be aware of.
For sure.
I mean, these are actually people. They're actual people that lived and did important things,
Absolutely.
and even well, even criminal things. But still, you know, they deserve their
well,
day.
Eunice was an assistant district attorney, but Stephanie St. Clair, yeah, she lived on the edge of the law. She certainly did.
Yeah.
But isn't that crazy that she would take, like, she knew what she was doing. Like she knew that she was, a outlaw, and she would still take out like ads in the paper, like, the police.
Yeah. Apparently, she didn't mind that people knew what she was doing. Okay. Anyway, that sounds like a great historic piece, and juxtapose it against all the other works out there that only focused on the men. Right.
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah. So is this going to be a series or a feature film, or what is it going to be?
So I want it to become a series, but we're going to work on it as a film.
Oh, okay. Nice. Do you have any timeline for it yet?
So right now we're looking for distribution, for production. We're looking for money because, as you know, Alan, a piece like this is going to cost us. But what I will say is, back on the AI train, is that you'll see visuals from us coming that will help keep the conversation about the project going.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we're going to move to a totally different topic. Let's talk about the Exception Fest.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Tell us what the Exception Fest is, and what its past and future and present.
Absolutely. So Exception Fest is a conference and film festivals for creatives of color. Our goal has been to elevate, again, this has always been my goal. And by the way, shout out to Lakeisha Jackson, whoop whoop, co-founder, whoop whoop, whoop whoop. So the goal that we had coming into Exception Fest was, we wanted the ability for first-time creators who are just on the cusp of coming into their careers. We also tapped into executives. We wanted everyone in the room to find value, because one of the things that is one of the harder things to do is to break the film festival barrier. And I think whether it's the payment, whether it's the prestige, and it's all political at the end of the day. But we wanted to bypass the politics. We wanted the ability for people who had really good work to really get out there and it be seen. And that was the goal. And we had some really amazing films. Shout out to support our hashtag creatives, who sponsored our very first pitch competition. And the winner was Single Taken Other, a series that is currently streaming season 1, and we're working on season 2. Alan, we can't wait to talk with you and the ladies, because part of what they want is mentorship, and we are going to get to work. We're going to be a part of, what they have coming up. So that was amazing, Alan, and we are so indebted to you for your participation. You were there with us on the pitch competition itself. You announced, like, it was amazing. I loved working with you in that capacity. Actually, I don't know if I told you enough. I really enjoyed working like one-on-one with you. Well, 2-on-1, because it was me and Lakeisha simultaneously, but working together with you was such a great joy, especially in that capacity. So shout out to support our hashtag creatives.
Thank you. I mean, it's just an example of what I try to do.
Yes, and community, and how community is so important. And I will also say this about Alan. Like, I feel like Alan is Alan and Randy belong to me, but the truth of the matter is, Alan, you have been that for so many other individuals, even through this podcast as a means to shed light on different individuals and their projects. So thank you for being that kind of touchstone for all of us.
So tell us about how you had to pivot.
Oh my God. Woo, child. So right in the middle of us planning Exception Fest, we got a double whammy of having two strikes, one with the WGA, the other with SAG-AFTRA. Right in the middle of us planning, we had all of these amazing folks, amazing actors and actresses lined up. And Lord, did everything just go, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able, because the original plan was to do it in Atlanta. What we ended up doing, and Lakeisha and I talked long and hard about this, and we actually talked to a SAG rep who, because we wanted to say, like, is there any way that we can is there any way? And they were like, well, no. We are really looking at festivals and what they're doing. Like, we got an eye out to see. We didn't want to scab, basically. So we had to make a decision, and the decision was to turn it into a virtual conference. Was it what we wanted it to be? No, but the pivot still allowed us to, one, have an audience, two, make an impact, three, allow the filmmakers, their projects to still be seen.
Yes.
And that was the biggest piece for us, to still have that ability for folks to be seen the same way that, whatever they put out into the world, we want to make sure that we were that platform that they can do it in.
Right. Yes. So, as I always say, pivoting, being able to pivot is part of the business. You have to be able to do it. Otherwise, you're stuck.
Sometimes. I don't know if you've ever seen this, Alan, on any of the sets that you've been a part of, but sometimes it's on the day of.
Wow. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to make like an amendment on a script, or you have to, someone gets sick or something really weird happens and you have to make that adjustment. So you're absolutely right. It's a part of the business.
Yeah, no, I have seen that on many projects that I've worked on. Sometimes the pivot was successful, sometimes it wasn't. It happens sometimes, a project
for sure.
stops, right?
For sure, yes.
Yeah, even the big Hollywood ones that happen to them too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the future for Exception Fest?
So right now it's on hiatus just for 1 year. We're giving ourselves this year to really get some sponsors, to get the funding that we need. We're working on grants and things like that to make Exception Fest amazing for 2025. We'll be talking about, we're also planning on hosting some events, and we'll probably do something in the fall, like a small, not as big and grand as the plans were for last year, but definitely something where we get our filmmakers in a room, have conversations with executives. That's our goal for this year with Exception Fest, but we'll definitely keep every single person that has been a part of this journey informed. Follow us on www.exceptionfest.com. You'll hear more and see more in the coming days and weeks.
Nice. Well, of course, as always, it's going to be so exciting when the Exception Fest comes back.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
And we should mention, what's happened last year in 2020, that was the very first Exception Fest. So it was important not to, to get people to know about it, but yet not violate any, any things that would cause problems working in the future with SAG-AFTRA and the union and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So you succeeded.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have a really cool partner. Like my co-founder is amazing. She has a very, like, the offset of, like, if I'm like tripping out or something, she's very calm, and she has a very keen way of seeing things and a very methodical way of doing things. I always tease her about being a computer, but when it comes to partnerships, especially in the business that we're in, it's really cool to have somebody who's not like you. someone who's different, someone who's going to come at another angle, because if you have to carry it on your own, it could be a lot. So shout outs to all the people who made Exception Fest possible.
Yes.
Celestial Holmes, yes, to you. Katie, to you. Whoop whoop.
Yeah. Okay. Now, tell us about the mentoring that you've done. Start with 8 Hollywood through the Women of Color Unite organization.
Yes. So would start with 8. You do your homework, don't you, Alan? Start with 8 is a program, is a mentorship program through Women of Color Unite, which I am a part of. And I signed up to be a mentor with Start with 8 because I had found value in what Cheryl had done for so many people in this industry. And my goal was to be that for someone else. And I mentored 8 women. And it was such an amazing, smart group of women who all came from different backgrounds and had different ways of looking at the industry. And it wasn't just a one-off. Like, we went ahead and we met weekly. We were doing writing assignments, and the plan, I haven't chucked the plan. It's just like I said, life takes over sometimes, but I think I'm still on track. Matter of fact, I got to call them to see what we can do, if we can put our short films together and make something amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was, and I was actually part of that at the time, in terms of.
Yes, you came on, right?
Yes, I
So
did.
just for the folks at home, I went ahead and called all my fantastic friends. And every week we would have someone, and Alan was one of the folks to come on and talk to the women about the business and listen. And Alan, like I said, it was a bunch of amazing people. I want to thank all of them, but particularly Alan. And he came on and he talked. What did we do when you came on that day?
Well, I basically talked. I think I talked about what I did, and also, gave encouragement, and
Yes.
learned about what they were trying to do, and
Yes.
it's just a matter of showing that, showing support as usual. So
For sure. For sure.
hopefully, I gave some good advice at the time.
Absolutely. I think you were wonderful. And I don't know why you're not speaking at engagements more, but I honestly believe they walked away with so much value in that conversation. So thank you for being a part of that.
Yeah. So I'm always happy to have the opportunity to do something like that. Because it's it stretches me. I go out of my comfort zone by doing stuff like that.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Okay. Okay. Future projects. My name is Shakesha. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. My name is Shakesha. Is a documentary about Black women who have Black names, and sort of the cultural implications around having a Black name in America and what it means to have a Black name. And the goal is, now we are raising funds to make My Name is Shakesha happen. And again, AI might change the game. I had a conversation with my good friend and partner in crime, Lakeisha Jackson, and she gave me some really cool ideas on how to implement AI for that particularly, keeping the human aspect, but also integrating some of the stuff that I'm learning on the AI side. But my goal is always to go. I want to interview women in Atlanta, LA, and New York whose names are Shakesha. There are some famous Keishas, and not only the Keisha name, but other names of women who are deemed Black, and what that implication has meant to all of us, and what the perception is. And I don't want it to be heavy. I want it to have a bit of humor about it, but also educate people to what that means to us and what that has meant to us in our own journeys. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a timeline for that? What state is it in now?
My goal is to have finished production by October of this year.
Wow. Okay. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we wrap, I want to make sure you said you had an event coming up that we want to tell people how they can can sign up or join, or whatever the right terminology is.
Absolutely. So I'm doing an AI course, and I'm teaching people about Midjourney, how to do AI art generation, how to use AI tools, and it's a lot of information for creative entrepreneurs, small business owners who may have shied away from advertising or have found it difficult to create social media content, and businesses with budgets under 30 million that want to implement AI but just haven't had the opportunity or didn't know how the AI tools could be effective in their business. So my goal is to have that. So if everyone hits me up on my IG page, if you DM me, I will send you the links. I don't have the links right now, but the link will be available by Friday. So please hit me up and I will make sure, if you DM me, I will make sure that you get it.
Okay, let me post that here. Okay, so go to Shakesha DW on Instagram and DM her, and she will send you all the information that you need.
Please.
Yeah, so
Please.
basically
Yeah.
everything you want to know about AI, right? Fantastic.
I'm your
Yeah.
girl. I'm
You
your
are
girl.
going to be the person I always think of whenever AI is mentioned, because now you've picked up this ball and you're really running with it.
I really am. I really am. It's been amazing.
Yeah. So folks, contact Shakesha. This is great.
Please,
Oh,
please.
do you have any final things to mention?
Absolutely. If I'm to use any encouragement, that the AI track is one. There's a lot of ease in use. There's a lot of ease in getting to understand the impact of it. But more than anything, I want creators to feel empowered, to not feel like they're being like the gatekeeping. We could kind of get around it now. But I also encourage people who are going through a life change, who are going through life circumstances, and you kind of feel like, when is it going to be my time? When is it going to be my time to shine? When will the vision that I've had for my life come to pass? And I want to lend to you that, one, there really isn't a timeline on it. That just because you didn't get it in your 20s or 30s or even your 40s or 50s, that doesn't mean that your time is up. That you can find something new and beautiful in a new area. And sometimes the silence and the quiet is a way for you to find what you're curious about, find what you love again. So I guess my short parting words are, please don't give up, because we need you. Please don't give up because it's hard. Please, because it's one kind of hard is regret, and the other kind of hard is trying to go after what you want. So that's my parting words. Just do not give up on what you want in this life. It is there for you with a time frame, and by the time you get there, it will be better than you could have ever imagined. Please don't give up. Please just keep going. Keep pressing forward.
Yeah, definitely. Great words. So your IG is the best place for people to find out the latest and greatest about you?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. That's okay. So Shakesha DW on Instagram. Remember that. Okay. Now, just before I say goodnight, another little self plug going on. We would love to have you on my show. So, to be on my podcast, go to supportourcreators.com and go to the contacts tab, or just email me directly at alan@supportourcreatives.com. And, it'd be so great to have you on. You have something interesting to say. I'm looking forward to that. So please, this is how you get to contact me. So very good. So, okay. So Shakesha, thank you for being with us tonight. And people, I'm sure, have learned a lot from you, a lot of your great nuggets, that you've given, and all the great projects you've worked on that have in the past and the ones that are coming up. It's so great to that people are learning about what you have done and will be doing. I'm so excited about that.
For sure.
Okay. So with that, yes, I'm going to say good night, and good night, everybody. And we'll see you on our next show. Please, you can watch previous episodes on Spotify, and also this episode will be repurposed and also be seen on Spotify pretty soon. So we'll be on the alert for that. Yeah. So anyway, so good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.